I like our theme music.
It's more than acceptable.
It's more than acceptable. Folks, my name is Carlos.
This is Dave.
We are going to probably have spoilers and offensive language and content and whatnot. Consider this your content warning. This is Two Fat Guys Talk, episode 110?
Yeah.
Keep making noises, please.
I'm not arming you for that future Dave makes sound.
Yeah, Dave's noises.
Yeah, this is 110.
Now, I was fully expecting to be doing 110 after E3, but then all of a sudden you punched me in the face, kicked me to your couch, grabbed the mic, plugged it in, and said, "We're doing another pre-E3 cast." And I'm like, okay, this is the pre-E3 cast part 2. So I guess you should probably, if you haven't heard the last one, maybe listen to that first. And then we'll be talking about E3 some more, because I guess new developments have occurred.
Well, unfortunately, every year, so many things get leaked from E3 before E3 hits.
Leaks and rumors. I'm good for this.
And, I mean, some things are, yes, definitely in the rumor hashtag. But other ones are just outright. You know, you can't even call them leaks so much. I mean, when you put a giant condo apartment complex size poster up saying "Coming soon, Game X," that's not really a leak anymore. It's a fucking advertisement.
It's a feeling at that point.
So when E3's being set up, and of course it already is being set up, and posters are going up for certain games and everything else, yes, it's happening before the event, but you gotta expect if you put up a poster before your show, people are gonna tell that, hey, I just put up a fucking Final Fantasy 16 poster. Has not happened. That's not even a rumor. Don't go there.
I looked it up the other day if there was a Final Fantasy 16 thing announced, and so far nothing.
Something tells me we will not learn about 16 until a year before release, kind of thing. Except for maybe a, yes, we're working on it. Because I think 15 and 7 have really taught Square to pull back on the early announcements.
Yeah, considering 15 took almost as long to release as Duke Nukem Forever, if we consider that Final Fantasy Versus 13 was 15.
Exactly.
And Final Fantasy 7 Remake, well, I mean Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I mean, that's all that needs to be said for that one.
That was announced. We actually were shown supposed gameplay footage 3 years ago now.
Well, we saw some more in that Sony Not Direct, but we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
So.
We started talking about Bethesda and how you were getting slightly interested based off of...
Okay, so here's the deal. Apparently, through some SEO phishing and data mining, the results of which I'm not exactly clear on how they work, but a lot of people online seem to believe in it. People have been trying to eke out or feel out what the next bunch of Smash DLC characters are going to be. And amongst the rumors based off the hits that are producing the most results are some characters that kind of make sense, like that guy from Dark Souls who holds up the sun or whatever. They made an amiibo of him recently for that Dark Souls release. So
I didn't know this. Okay.
So he's apparently strongly rumored to be included. Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden / Dead or Alive is being rumored, and the most interesting one, and why I'm going to keep a sharp eye on the Bethesda presentation, is none other than Doom Guy. And there's only one Doom Guy, unless there's some obscure Japanese game I don't know about that has a Doom Guy, and that is the main character and apparent longtime descendant of B.J. Blazkowicz, Doom Guy from Doom.
Yeah, so Bethesda's conference this year should be interesting because we got, games that you may care about. The Youngbloods Wolfenstein game.
Sure.
based on his twin daughters, which may or not be another parallel universe.
I do need to play Wolfenstein.
Because this is a side story, and supposedly they've got a Wolfenstein 3, which continues BJ's journey.
As long as I can find the secret level that has Pac-Man ghosts, I'm fine. And or the Aardwolf maze, which I am seriously considering remaking in Mario Maker 2.
We've got that. We've got their new RPG they're working on. And, of course, Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal
is the number one game that any of us will care about.
I've played a criminally small amount of Doom because right now I have a lap board. And while this suits MMOs very well to have a lap board and mouse combo, because I sit on a couch when I use my computer, in an MMO, the camera only moves when you hold a button. In a first-person shooter, it moves whether you move the mouse, and I don't have a stable enough surface. So when I played Doom Eternal, I was having a blast, but I'm like, I need to revisit this. And every first-person shooter I want to play, like Ion Maiden and a whole bunch of them that I really want to play, I need to revisit this either when I have a better solution or on a gamepad, which for Doom I'd rather not do. Look, I think gamepad is great for certain shooters, and I won't lament anyone who prefers them, but if I have the mouse and keyboard option, I'd rather take it, you know?
I do. I mean, there are shooters that just the pad is the better option, like Gears of War.
Gears of War is a very gamepad-friendly game.
I tried playing that on my mouse and keyboard. Went right back to a pad within minutes. Kind of thing.
You know, a game where there's legitimately pros and cons to both control methods, where picking one does give up certain advantages of the other, and there's no clear answer which is better? Enter the Gungeon. There's a strong case to make for both control methods in that.
Another game that I actually found myself playing a hybrid of the two is GTA 5.
Oh.
Like, literally, when I'm driving, I want the gamepad.
Okay.
When I'm moving around, I like the gamepad. When I need to snipe some son of a bitch from across the map in a mission, I want my fucking mouse and keyboard.
I think I've talked about this before. I wish the Valve Steam controller had a sequel that actually realized it, because I do think you could get the best of both worlds with it. But that doesn't seem to ever be happening, at least not in the near future. So.
No, Valve is working on its VR thing, not working on a Half-Life 3, you cocksuckers, and not working on a Portal 3, you bastards.
Please don't disparage cocksuckers too bad. Some of us. I'm making fun of you. Nobody listening to this got offended by cocksuckers. And if you did, you know what? You're allowed to be offended. We meant no offense. We are... What am I doing? We have gotten way off topic.
Just a bit. So Bethesda might actually have something relevant outside of Doom Eternal this year.
Yeah, and if there's a Doom Guy and Smash announcement,
that'd be neat.
Where would it happen? At the Bethesda show or the Nintendo Direct? I want to say it would happen in the Bethesda show with the Nintendo Direct and follow-up Treehouse event having gameplay details.
I mean, what would his ultimate be? The BFG.
How would they even do that with, like, here's the thing. Obviously, they can clean up blood and stuff like that to make a more PG version of it for Smash, like they did Joker. Because in Joker's Final Smash, there's no blood spraying out of people, it's just sparkles.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you do that in Doom? Like, what if the intro to Doom is that he's shooting Goombas? Like, do they just put little hit sparks on an old classic Doom wad?
See, it's the big reason that I'm kind of hesitant even thinking that Doom Guy could be there, because he's shooting guns. Outright guns.
Oh yeah, and they're not laser blasters.
No, it's double shotgun, and everything else.
Joker was the first, I think he's the first character playable in Smash that uses a real ass pistol.
Yeah.
And going Doom Guy, he's got quite a few of those. Like, some of them you could easily make a PG version. The BFG can just be a big explosion. Fine, there you go. It's like, okay, so Final Smash hit, cinematic, pull out the BFG fire, kaboom. That's no different than a bunch of the ones that are in the game. How do you do the chainsaw?
Yeah, it's... Well, I mean, the chainsaw would be his melee attack.
Sure.
Just wouldn't be blood. It would just hit you, hurt you, and throw you away, maybe.
Is this forward smash the single shotgun or the double barrel?
Double barrel.
Oh,
gotta be the double barrel.
Correct answer.
There isn't... I was taking a look, and really, the shows are so spread out this year. There's a couple double headers. I mean, there's the PC game one. There's the Square one. I believe Bethesda is all on the same night.
We should talk about Square, because I didn't know until I started seeing the advertisements that they're making an Avengers game.
That's been known for a couple of years now.
Now, if maybe I mentioned this at a prior E3, in which case I clearly forgot. Now, I looked to see what subdivision or what developer within Square was making it. It's Crystal Dynamics. It's not Square Enix Japan making this Avengers game. So it's going to be more Western than Japanese, for sure. It's still fascinating, though. This isn't going to be an Ultimate Alliance type of game.
No.
Right? So what is it that they're trying to make? Are they looking for something open world? They're trying for something more of a character action bend, but with multiple Avengers characters? I'm interested to see where that goes. Maybe they'll surprise everyone and it's an arcade beat-em-up. A sequel to the old Avengers arcade machine.
Yeah, I can't see... I can't see the work supposedly they've put into it being a arcade beat 'em up. I mean, even just the teaser trailer they had was more effort than you normally put into a beat 'em up.
You were talking about schedule, and yeah, that we're not going to be able to watch them together this year because
nope.
You're going to be busy and I'm going to be busy too. So definitely going to have to find a way to schedule them all so that I manage to watch one I missed before the next one starts.
Yeah, there's a good schedule here.
Yeah, find that. And while you're finding that, Dave, they showed a Death Stranding trailer. They showed a bunch of gameplay and a bunch of new shit. And I didn't hate it, and this worries me.
Becoming a Kojima fan, are you?
Here's the thing about Hideo Kojima. When it comes to predicting world events, that guy is uncanny. He kind of knows. Like when the final boss of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance talks about making America great again. This was pre-Donald Trump running for office. And even stuff like, if you look at old Metal Gear games, he talks about like how the internet has made these segregated pockets of people that don't talk to each other, that live in echo chambers, so that there's no real truth. Everyone views truth as what they believe, right? So there's definitely shit like that. And then there's times that he gets mad at people for saying quiet is stupid because she breathes through her skin, and that should validate it. And there's also the fact that I don't really care for any Metal Gear game that doesn't have Revengeance in its title from a mechanical perspective. I just don't find them that entertaining to play, except Revengeance, which is fucking awesome.
See, Revengeance is probably my favorite Metal Gear Solid game. I am not a Metal Gear fan at all. I mean,
sure.
The Metal Gear game I played the most over the years was probably the original one for NES.
That's funny.
Followed by Revengeance, and now, seeing as I've been given it for free, Metal Gear Solid 5, which is the best Metal Gear game. Revengeance has the titling and it is awesome. But as far as a true Metal Gear game, 5 hits everything, quiet is stupid, and let's not talk about the zombie game.
Yeah, we won't talk about the zombie game. When I saw Death Stranding, I'm like, this kind of looks Metal Gear-ish, but at the same time, I don't know. Why do I want to play this game that I've been lambasting and berating for the past 17 years that it's been in development?
Maybe because it doesn't look like just an artist's recreation of a trailer anymore. The fact they actually show something, they actually have mechanics now. You get an idea of what's going on versus what they showed us last year, where you couldn't figure out what the fuck is going on.
God damn it.
I mean, I honestly think that in the auditorium for when they showed that trailer off, they must have spiked the punch with some acid to make people cheer for it.
I feel like a moth that knows the light is going to kill it, but I have to keep going. That trailer kind of got me. It kind of got me. I'm on board. I kind of want to play this game. And I don't know why. I am getting senile in my old age.
Maybe Kojima finally found a set of mechanics and a storyline that isn't completely up its own ass to make you interested enough to actually play one. That's all. But we'll see what comes from that. The schedule this year. We've got EA on Saturday. We've got Microsoft and Bethesda and Digital Devolver on Sunday.
Devolver Digital. What is with you?
Devolver Digital, the big one I'm looking forward to this year, Serious Sam 4.
Oh yeah, Serious Sam is a thing they release.
Yes. And this is a brand new game that supposedly comes out this year and still has couch co-op. So we'll be playing that.
Oh, those are fun games.
They are. I actually had a chance to play on my Vive system Serious Sam in VR. Fun games with one slight problem. The movement was a little bit clunky because you're jumping or you're teleporting. And unfortunately, when you teleport through a room, you trigger every motherfucker to come after you. So it becomes a little bit... It's not as smooth in the runaway tactics in that game when you're playing in VR, unfortunately. But it also makes you jump a lot, because all of a sudden you'll be walking, one of those suckers will pop out of a wall and blow your head off. Monday, we've got... Okay, this is one I didn't know even existed. The E3 VR Showcase. To show off all the different VR games and all the different systems.
Cool. Easy skip.
You just don't like progress, do you?
No. No, I hate it.
That's okay. Certain other people agree with me and will join me in my VR adventure. PC show on Monday, and Ubisoft. So Monday's kind of, other than that VR one, can pretty much be skipped.
When is Nintendo's?
Nintendo's is on Tuesday.
Okay, good.
They're actually... Oh, sorry. Square Enix is also on Monday. So, I guess there's two things I'll be interested in on Monday.
Because I gotta tell you, ending with Ubisoft, man, talk about ending with a fucking whimper.
I don't believe I'm actually taking this side of it this time.
Go ahead.
But, yes, Ubisoft puts out a lot of junk. I am not going to argue that. But Ubisoft, in my eyes, has kind of revitalized what they're good at in the latest Assassin's Creed games.
Okay.
I mean, Assassin's Creed Origins in Egypt is a beautiful, well-told story. And is just fun to play. The loot system, which I put down a year or 2 years ago when Origin was announced, I kind of have to say sorry, because... And it just... The storyline they're telling... They're focusing very heavily now on the actual character you're playing versus doing this whole half and half, real world stuff and then that. You can basically ignore the real world stuff when they pull you out of the machine every now and then, if you want. Though they've made that part even enjoyable now, because the actual characters you're going with actually have reasons for being and aren't just the original guy kind of thing. So, in that way, Assassin's Creed has kind of come back with what they originally wanted to do with it. This year, we're supposed to hear about Beyond Good and Evil.
Again. Beyond Good and Evil 2, the prequel.
The prequel that no one asked for, that's the problem. We wanted a sequel. But maybe we'll see it this year. Maybe we don't. But yeah, Nintendo is the only one on Tuesday, and they will end off E3. I mean, I think they're basically focusing really heavily this year on the Pokemon game coming out end of year.
Oh yeah, I imagine they are, but we'll still get other things though.
I mean, we'll see Sword and Shield, we'll see Link's Awakening.
We might see some Mario Maker stuff, though. It's releasing shortly after E3, so...
I don't think they're going to spend too much time on that in their Nintendo Direct. Maybe in the Treehouse. They'll have a segment, but their Nintendo Directs have been more on what they're working on and coming out later versus... They really shouldn't spend too much time in the Direct on what's coming out, next week kind of thing.
Pokemon Sleep and the Pokemon Champions or whatever...
I know neither of these games.
Pokemon Sleep is a game that powers up your Pokemon when you sleep or something. This is a real title that I did not make up. They also announced the sequel to Detective Pikachu, the game.
And that doesn't surprise me as just how popular Detective Pikachu was in theaters.
And Pokemon Home, which is an upgrade to their Pokemon box storage thing, where you can send Pokemon from just about anything that connects to it, including Pokemon Go, Pokemon Let's Go. Some games only have a one-way connection to it, so from Go or Let's Go, you can only send them to home, not from. But Sword and Shield, you can pluck them out of home to put them in that game.
We were talking earlier about Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11.
We watched the Shang Tsung trailer.
Yeah, that's how his name's pronounced. And yeah, Shang Tsung. And he played by the guy who played Shang Tsung in the original Mortal Kombat movie. So great lines like, "Your soul is mine," and all that.
I just giant grin on my face when he said certain lines, and you could tell it was coming. It's just great. But we were also talking about guest characters.
In fighting games or just in general?
Well, in Mortal Kombat 11. The
okay.
possible ones coming up. And
I know Spawn is one confirmed.
Leatherface, Leatherhead.
Sure. I know Spawn is confirmed. Joker is heavily rumored based on data mining. Ed Boon's tweets make it seem that maybe 2B is coming. And the guy who plays Ash in Evil Dead has tweets that make it seem like the character Ash is coming.
Well, and they had a chainsaw sound at the end of the guest character section, and that's where Leatherface came up. I think Ash would be a much better character to show up from Evil Dead rather than Leatherface.
Yeah, because Leatherface, first of all, the Halloween movies just suck. And secondly, Leatherface is just a shitty villain. I've seen, I think, 2 Halloween movies in my life, and both times I was like, when is this over?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The Halloween movies have always been B-rate horror. And me saying B-rate's probably much higher rating than it should get.
Plus, Leatherface was in a past Mortal Kombat game, and he sucked there, so... What about guest characters and fighters? What do you think about that as a concept in general? A lot of fighters are getting them these days. Tekken being a big example with Akuma, Geese, Noctis, Lucius, Calum, and Negan from The Walking Dead.
See, I get why guest characters are around. Doesn't mean I like it. Because there are some characters that just don't fit a certain aesthetic. Like,
what, you mean like Darth Vader and Soul Calibur?
I was just gonna bring that up, actually. Like, okay, I'm sorry, but Darth Vader, Yoda, Link...
Link fits. He's fantasy.
He is, but... I mean, that was a case of selling the game based off the guest character. And the PlayStation system got fucked because of what they got. Then
what are your thoughts on the Soul Calibur 5 guest characters who are Geralt of Geralt,
Riveria,
whatever, and 2B?
I love the fact that 2B and the Nier Automata characters are popping up all over the place, because the more this happens, the more likely we are to get an actual sequel to that game. So let it be everywhere. If it gets me a sequel, yeah, whore that character out to every series you can. I want a sequel to that game. But does 2B fit Soul... Or, wait, did you say Soul Calibur?
Yeah, Soul Calibur 5. She has a one quote where the camera pounds down to her butt and her drone warns her. The drone warns her about it, just like in the game.
Of course they do. Of course they have one center in her ass.
I mean, it's Soul Calibur.
She does have a lot of assets, though.
It's Soul Calibur. They put 15-year-old girls in see-through pants. I mean, this is kind of par for the course for Soul Calibur. People are like, oh, Dead or Alive is horny. Dead or Alive is not even 1 degree as horny as Soul Calibur. The real horn dogs go to Soul Calibur. Look at who you got. You got your pervo pedophile fetishes there. You got your grown women fetishes. You have whatever the fuck Voldo is. You have so much stuff there.
I believe he falls into the GIMP category.
Sure. I'll look, I want to put my dick in him just like everyone else. I'm just saying that Soul Calibur has these. Meanwhile, where to go to Dead or Alive, it's like, oh, generic CG Japanese hot girl times 20. The women who played them in the Dead or Alive Hollywood movie were way hotter than the characters in the Dead or Alive games.
I'll give you that. Actually, I wouldn't have been too surprised if 2B had shown up in Dead or Alive. It's kind of where I thought she'd end up.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
Just because of the aesthetic.
I guess Maya has been in the last couple games. Along with Akira from Virtual Fighter, who really doesn't seem like he belongs in Dead or Alive, but...
And I guess that's the thing, is guest characters, with the exception of Akuma, who was part of that storyline.
In Tekken, yeah.
And fit perfectly.
And is now forever a part of the Mishima story.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Like, Negan didn't really make any sense putting him in that game. And I know they did it to try and drum up a little bit of, just a little bit of press for the show, because the show had been dropping off their rating Something Fierce. But even then, he still doesn't really fit.
I kind of like him. I kind of like when you watch a combo video and he's the target and he's just like, shit, after every hit. Shit.
And that's another thing. I'm surprised that stuff like that is getting into games now. Like, just the outright swears. Where before, that would have been just something that would never have been allowed.
In certain King of Fighters games, Terry's English voice actor would say shit during counterattacks or whatever. But because of the poor English, would often go under the radar.
Okay.
I like guest characters in fighting games. I like it when they're part of the story. I'm okay even when they're not. I like the idea of guest characters that fit, just like you. Like, when there are Mortal Kombat guest characters in Injustice games, they tend to be redesigned by actual comic artists.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when Soul Calibur guest characters fit the motif, so Geralt definitely fits.
He does.
2B even fits, because she has the gothic look to her. Yeah, she's got some tech going on, but she's a better fit than any Star Wars character. So, I'm okay with her being there.
Actually, funny enough, 2B is one of the ones I don't think should be in Soul Calibur.
Oh yeah? Who would you rather have?
I don't actually have a pick for who I'd rather have. It's just the whole futuristic android in a fantasy setting. I mean, if I'm going to complain about Darth Vader, I got to complain about 2B too. Because it's just... As weird as it is seeing the characters fighting on the fucking Death Star or on the Star Destroyer, it doesn't fit. It just seems gratuitous.
I mean, I do get it. You want that fit, right? Like,
now, if 2B, yeah, I'm not even going to go there, because that's what if stuff, and yeah.
Sure. Who would you have if you had the choice to put a one or two guest characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ? Who would you want in there?
No.
None at all?
No.
Or,
honestly, Dragon Ball FighterZ is one of those ones that you do not fuck with for guest characters. You do not pull in somebody from some other Toriyama game or comic or anything else. No. Dragon Ball Fighters, as stupid as this is going to sound, you need to keep the guest characters out. You've got more than enough characters throughout all the stuff to pull in some female fighters or whatever else.
Or another version of Goku.
Fuck you. If they pull in one more fucking version of Goku, I'm done.
I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind my asking.
Oh, God.
There's no correct answer. These are yes or no questions. Okay. Does Goku Black count as a Goku?
Yes.
Do fusions count as Goku when Goku's a part of them? Okay. Now, you've answered these questions. Let's count the Gokus in Dragon Ball Fighters. A game that they originally said we're not going to have too many of the same one character. There's Super Saiyan Goku, kind of the Ryu of the game. There's Super Saiyan Blue Goku. There's base Goku from the past. There's Goku Black. There's Vegito. Upcoming character Gogeta. And there's GT Goku, who came out recently and is just a blast. That is 7 Gokus. Now,
I'll even allow you to take out Goku Black.
Because he's actually Zamasu.
He's actually Zamasu, so okay, fine. There's 6 fucking...
Do we count Gohan as a Goku fusion?
No, we don't.
So there's 6 Gokus, 3 Vegetas, 5 Vegetas, 2 Gohans, 2 Trunkses.
Yeah.
And 1 Yamcha. And 2 Zamasus.
Yeah, and I guess that this is the problem is they're not diversifying their cast at all. I mean, I am so glad that we've now got, what, 1 female fighter?
3. We have 3. Android 18, Android 21, and Videl.
I mean, I'm glad Videl's in there.
She was a good addition.
But we should also have Chi-Chi. We should have...
Cauliflower Kale.
I accept that, absolutely.
Yep.
I'd also like to see if we're going to bring GT in, I want my freaking Pan.
I'm good with Pan, but give her a Super Saiyan Super.
Yes.
It's about time we had a Super Saiyan Pan.
There is no reason that you can't... I mean, Videl's nowhere near as good as she is in the game. Videl would be killed by anybody.
Videl also has a fully functional Gohan on speed dial in the game. One of her level 3s is Gohan comes in and is like, Videl, are you okay? Ah! And then obliterates the screen with a Kamehameha. Sometimes fighting game characters have little built-in assists into them where they can call in a buddy. Videl's buddy is far stronger than she is.
They did that with 18 as well.
They did do it with 18. And that's kind of a bummer that 2 of the 3 women in the game
needs male help.
Are calling in male characters to help them. And the 3rd one is stealing powers. Cauliflower and Kale would remedy that unless they were baked into one character.
So would you do them as a pair, or would you do them as individual characters?
I'd like them as individual characters, though I would settle with one of them being playable who calls the other as assists, or with their fusion Kefla. I'd be okay with that as well.
But yeah, no, I want my Pan.
Pan would be nice. If Dragon Ball Super continues and has its own version of the future, which I want them to do, I'm good with that Pan as well.
I mean, when they continue it, they probably should jump 10 years.
Sure, why not? Give us an alternate GT. An alternate GT.
Yes.
Make Super Saiyan 4 a magic form, which, let's face it already is. It changes clothing, and that's magic in Dragon Ball Land.
Yep.
And that way, the Goku versus Superman 3, when they eventually do it on Death Battle, will be a lot more interesting. Well, you don't want any guest characters. There are a couple that I think would fit. There are a couple, okay?
Fire away, and I'll tell you why not.
Okay, Wonder Woman.
No.
Why not?
No.
Uh,
No.
Stunning retort from the voice of reason.
Okay. As much as I like Wonder Woman as a character, do not import female fighters.
There's enough in the fiction?
There's enough in the fiction.
So Yuna Yuki is definitely not in either. Because that was going to be my second one.
Yuna Yuki needs its own fighter on its own. In fact, you know what I want from a Yuna Yuki game?
This is my fault. I pronounced her first name last name, even though the fiction is called Yuki Yuna.
Whatever.
What would you want in that game?
Yuki Yuna, I want made by
Arxis.
No.
They can have a sadness meter. The more you fill it in, the more melancholy things get. You fill it in too much, it just deletes other game saves.
I want that game made by the developers of Nier Automata.
Oh, you're not talking a fighting game.
There's no reason why I can't have a fighting game element. I mean, there'd just be one more thing that those guys could put in.
Platinum hasn't made fighters, though.
I'm sure Platinum could get their mind around it. Could you imagine a Yuki Yuna game on the scale of Nier Automata with all their different systems? I mean, you can have the fist combat at one point. You can have the shooting combat in the sky with other characters. I mean, you have Nier Automata system would freaking work for that world easily.
I still want the novelty of a fighting game with a sadness meter. You have to spend sadness to do super sad moves.
No, because that was the bad part of that.
And the third guest character was going to be Darkseid, but I'm assuming you're going to shoot that one down for any number of reasons.
Yes, let's import a big bad who wouldn't last 20 seconds against most of the cast.
Well, lately, Darkseid's
gotten a bit of a boost here, I understand. But
him becoming an aspect of existence, I'm pretty sure Darkseid is now a match for any Dragon Ball character.
Now he probably is, but traditional Darkseid would get his ass kicked.
Oh, probably. Okay, I hear you. You don't need guest characters in Dragon Ball Fighters.
I mean, even it's another reason why I'm glad that Arxis hasn't done this. I don't need guest characters in my Guilty Gear game. There's more than enough characters in their world to draw from in today's day and age. I mean, guest characters are where you go when you need your game to get a boost from other things.
But crossovers are inherently cool. As evidenced by the podcast we never ended up doing about crossovers.
Put it on the list.
Okay.
No, I'm actually serious.
Yeah, and I repeat, okay.
I mean...
with a Y in the front.
Just need to do some research and we'll talk about it. I've got no problem with that.
Cool!
But these games, a true crossover like, Mortal Kombat versus DC kind of thing, even that didn't work because you couldn't take the strengths of one and give it to the other. You had to dumb down the Mortal Kombat aspect. And the moment you did that, it's like, okay, well, I'm just playing a crossover that isn't as good as what it should have been. If you're going to do a true crossover, you've got to actually take the strengths of everything and try and, mash it up. So, if you did it, like, they did the Blaze Blue, whatever the hell the title of that one was.
Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle.
Thank you.
Have you heard Heart's dub voice?
No.
She is definitely Heart.
Gotcha. That works because they didn't have to really change the mechanics to have everybody play together, kind of thing. But guest characters just...
They changed a lot of mechanics for a lot of the games. But the sprite work was definitely consistent, even though they did a lot of work on those to make the existing sprites fit a bit better. The only brand spanking new sprites were the Ruby characters.
It's neat to see characters from shows like that pop up in fighters. I just... Guest characters just kind of seem like the lazy, we need to revitalize an interest in our game. Who can we bring in? Like, the Predator character being brought in before that Predator movie came out. Trying to, spike interest in a movie or another franchise just comes across as lazy today.
I don't know. In fighting games especially, the fact that there could be a crossover that you don't see coming is exciting to think about. Like in Injustice 2, every time there was a new DLC pack, there was who's going to come next. And then the first one has Hellboy. It's like, what? And the second one has all 4 Ninja Turtles. And I'm like, Jesus, like, anything could happen. I like the excitement of anything could happen.
And I can get behind that part of it. It's just, in a world like DC, having to spike interest by introducing a guest character when you literally have hundreds of superheroes you could have chosen, and you went with the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What's going to excite people more? The Ninja Turtles or random DC character nobody knows about?
Well, and that's part of the problem is you're fighting a war between bringing in new people or people who wouldn't normally be involved in the game, or trying to cater to your actual DC fan base.
The other thing about crossovers, too, is that they can be a celebration of a genre rather than just one property. Smash Brothers is a great example of that. It's a video game characters fighting. If Doom Guy ends up being in there, as we were talking about before, then that cements it. They don't give a shit about where these characters were. They were video game characters. They're popular. Let's get them into this big crossover.
I mean, who would have seen Joker showing up? I was sure that Joker showing up meant that Persona 5 Golden, or Royal as it's being called, was going to be on the Switch. And that turned out to be wrong.
No, they don't really need it.
It seemed like the perfect opportunity for them to say, we're doing this, but I'm just pretty sure that Persona has an exclusivity deal with Sony.
Snake hasn't been a relative Nintendo character for a long time, and he still got in.
Oh.
Cloud, they didn't have plans to release Final Fantasy VII on the Switch when he got put back in to Smash 4 on Wii U.
See, now Snake, the one who started this whole thing, was a unique circumstance, though, because Snake only happened because Kojima and Sakurai are buddies.
Oh yeah,
and Kojima went to Sakurai and he's like, so, can we put Snake in your game?
Snake was supposed to be in Melee. Apparently, Kojima went to Sakurai too late to get him into Melee, so they put him into Brawl. This was going to happen a game earlier. Joker happened because Sakurai is a fan of Persona.
And that's cool.
So he went, hey, will you put Joker in here?
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen in when it comes to this, as long as it meets Sakurai's long list of bullshit reasons why a character can't be in.
Well, I don't think they're bullshit. He wants video game characters. That's ultimately the crux of it. And by video game, he means the character originated from. Goku's not going to go in it because even though he has tons of video games, that's not where he originated from. He's a manga character.
Yeah.
He's a manga anime character. That's not what he wants in it. And thankfully, he's not going to do that because there are a lot of Japanese people that like, put Fate characters in it. I'm like, shut up. Fucking weebs.
Now. What were you ever a fan of the Baldur's Gate style games?
Here's my history with Baldur's Gate. I played a little bit of it, and I was like, this is cool. It's not for me. I kickstarted Project Infinite, which became... Not Project Infinite. That one by Obsidian, which is a Baldur's Gate-like game. Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah.
And I was happy to because I like Obsidian. Played a little bit of it. I'm like, this is good. It's not my cup of tea. However, these upcoming re-releases I might try because maybe what I need is to play them on a gamepad. Is that what you're going to bring up?
That's just
okay. Sorry, I don't want to step on it. Go, bring it up.
Well, no, it's interesting in that Baldur's Gate, 1 and 2, Neverwinter Nights, 1 and possibly 2, and Planescape Torment
Yeah.
are all being released on console with 16:9 systems and upgraded for consoles.
I like this idea. Is it Planescape or Planescape?
Planescape, actually.
Yeah. Because I played a bunch of Planescape Torment, and I remember thinking the story's cool, but once again, the way you play this game is not really like my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that if I had it on gamepad, like on a Switch, for example, these are nice games I could play in chunks in portable mode, right?
Right.
I think I'd actually get all of these, to be honest with you.
My problem with Baldur's Gate was, at the time, I wasn't thinking all that strategically, or maybe I was thinking too strategically, and in narrow corridors, still used explosive arrows. Yes, I took out the enemy, but I took myself out most of the time, too. Unfortunately, those games, if your main character dies, even if you have somebody who can res, it's over. They die and the game is just done. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing them come out like that. I'm also hoping that the PC versions get the same treatment, because didn't really have that back in the day. I know there was re-releases, and I haven't gone back and tried those, so maybe I've already got them. But yeah, so that's interesting. Oh, that Warhammer Diablo-style game.
Yeah, what's the full title? We didn't have the full title last time either. What's the full title of that game?
I don't think it's Vermintide 2. I think it's one of the other ones.
Let's look this up so we're not like, oh, that Warhammer game. We're a professional podcast. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Warhammer Diablo-style... Oh. Warhammer Chaos Bane.
That's the name. That's a good name.
When does this actually come out, though?
It's a metal name.
June.
Okay, now that we know, what is it you're going to say about it?
Well, no, just that this game exists and is coming out soon. I'm looking forward to seeing more on this, because, look, I uninstalled Diablo 3 from both my console and my PC a long time ago, because honestly, the whole season thing was not doing it for me. It just being a never-ending grind with no additional storyline that they're just not working on at all has pissed me off for a long time. And of course, the whole Diablo mobile game, Don't You All Have Phone fiasco last year was interesting. But I'm really looking forward to this game to scratch that itch. Did you ever play...
Path of Exile?
No. Titan.
I know the game you're talking about. It's the Diablo-style game that had kind of a Roman vibe.
Yeah, Greece Roman, yeah.
Yeah. Greco-Roman wrestling Titan something or other. It's a Diablo-style game.
Let me look up the title. Titan Quest.
Titan Quest. I played it briefly, and I was like, cool, not my thing. I wish it well.
I actually played the whole game through with a friend of mine. A reason why I bring this up is they just actually released an entire new chapter to the game for free based around Atlantis. Now, I find this awesome because, I mean, this game has been out forever, and it's not like this is a part 3 or even has a part 3 being made kind of thing. But there is no way in fucking hell am I going through all of Titan Quest again to get there, because that game made Diablo's... You could play through Diablo 1, 2, and 3 with all of its expansions before you hit the expansion of Titan Quest. It was a long fucking game. Definitely value for your dollar. Which is probably what you paid for Titan Quest in this day and age. Just found it funny that after all these years, a developer's like, "Oh yeah, we just been messing around. Here you go." Maybe it's to get people think about Titan Quest again. Maybe Titan Quest 3 is in development.
Was there a Titan Quest 2?
Titan Quest 2 was kind of their expansion pack.
Gotcha.
Because it was kind of like how Diablo 2's expansion made the game like almost twice as long. It was officially an expansion, but everybody considered it part 2 to it because it definitely did do some improvements.
Cool. Dave, I've been listening to a podcast lately. Platforms and Pitfalls. It is a game design podcast because game design is cool, and I've been listening to it pretty religiously because it's really well done.
Yeah.
Now, slight bias here. One of the hosts on this podcast is friend of the show and occasional voicemailer Rowan. And his voice is just so amazing. And, God damn it, his podcast is way better than this one. Stop listening to this and go listen to Platforms and Pitfalls. It's so good. They discuss game design about a particular genre of game or sometimes one specific game. Like, there's a grappling hooks episode where they talk about the various grappling hooks in certain games, like, say, the ones in Bionic Commando versus the ones in Umahari Kawase. Kawase, the Japanese girl with the grappling hook and the boobs. And Spider-Man and all that. Or one episode was all about Final Fantasy VIII and the various systems and how it kind of bucked a lot of Final Fantasy trends and in terms of its narrative and its mechanics.
And its graphics.
No, it has been a great listen.
What was that laugh?
It was you were talking about graphics, and I'm like, well, I didn't know why you said that, so I just kind of gave you a weird.
Well, no, from Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VIII, the graphical shift in how they did their graphics was quite different.
Oh, so they went
from being more of the polygonal. This is a human to this is actually a human that. More of a realistic style graphics, both in the architecture as well as the actual profile of the characters.
Yeah, their Final Fantasy VIII episode was really good. And definitely a lot, like, whether you loved or hated Final Fantasy VIII, or you're like me where you didn't like it at the time, but you've grown to appreciate it, definitely give it a listen. Shout outs to Platforms and Pitfalls. I'll have a link in the show description so you can go check it out. And the second thing I was going to talk about here was I played a bunch of the closed beta of Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, aka Grand Blue Versus, aka GBVS.
The version of the game that will probably do nowhere near as good as the RPG one.
Well, probably. So I played this fairly extensively. I only played one character, Catalina. Because I'm convinced she's the only cool character in Grand Blue. Also, because when we watched that anime, she was totally Agrius. And I like Catalina in general. It is a weird departure for Arc Sys, because it definitely feels like Arc Sys Street Fighter. Its pace is as if Arc Sys made more of a Street Fighter game. Very grounded footsies, not a lot of crazy air combos. There's still some Arc Sys jank, but there's not even like a Roman cancel mechanic or anything like that in it. Fucking Arc Sys games were originally built on expanding the idea that the Marvel Versus series that Capcom made started. So it's kind of interesting to see them do something a lot more grounded. Not unlike Street Fighter, not unlike Western fighters like Injustice or Mortal Kombat. So it's definitely a slower, more methodical Street Fighter-like affair, but with Grand Blue characters and the gorgeous Team Red aesthetic they've been using since Guilty Gear Xrd, and that they perfected in Dragon Ball FighterZ. I don't think this game is quite as pretty as FighterZ, though it is just as pretty as Xrd, for sure. I enjoyed it, and if you want more of a footsie-based Street Fighter affair that also has a shortcut button for if you don't like to do special move motions, or if you just want an instant version of a special move at the cost of a longer cooldown, or if you want to see how a fighting game could work with cooldowns, I definitely recommend people take a look at this when it releases. Absolute gorgeous game, amazing music. When you enter the lobby, you make a little chibi lobby character, just like other Arc Sys games, and then you go onto an airship that has a bunch of arcade machines setups on them, and you go to an empty chair on the machine, and you play it that way, right? Sadly, it's still using delay-based netcode and not rollback netcode. That said, I'm in Western Canada. I tried playing in Western Canada, the Western Canada server, the Los Angeles server, and also the Osaka server because I couldn't get into Tokyo.
Okay.
There were too many people. And the matches were pretty good in all of them. And I took way more matches off of Japanese people than I thought would be possible for considering the much stronger. I don't mean that to be a racial thing. They just have a much stronger arcade scene and a bigger sense of community around it. So I thought for sure that I was not going to take so much as a round off of anyone there. I ended up winning way more than I thought I would. Catalina herself is definitely the Ken character. I guess Gran has a Fireball, Dragon Punch, and Hurricane Kick. And Catalina definitely also has a Fireball, Dragon Punch, and a Rush Forward move, but with a different flavor. So far, so good. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I think people who like Grand Blue Fantasy or who like Arxis fighters or maybe were wondering what an Arxis Street Fighter might feel like would definitely be interested in Grand Blue Versus. It has a good gamepad layout too. I'm at the moment I'm a little arcade stickless. Long story. So I was using the gamepad, and the idea of having special moves that are on one button, and you have the option to either do the button and invoke a longer cooldown, because the special moves have cooldowns, or the special move motion and you get a shorter cooldown, is interesting because I thought that I was just never going to touch the shortcut button. But in fact, sometimes you need your Dragon Punch to come out right now. You don't have the half second it'll take for your clumsy thumb to go forward, down, down, forward. So you do it, and it's great because you have basically frame one access to powerful moves. This is especially true of Charlotta, who is the one charge character in the game. Do you charge for her moves, or do you do them right now? Imagine if Guile could Sonic Boom on command, but he had a cooldown on it, for example.
Yeah.
It's I find it. Not only is it a good system for beginners, it also adds a lot of strategy, even if you know what you're doing, I think.
Is there a actual indicator on the screen of how long your cooldowns might be?
There is an MMO-style hotbar with the four moves on screen, and when it's cooling down, it dims out and fills up just like an MMO hotbar. It's actually kind of neat. The whole aesthetic of it is like they tried to make an MMO fighting game that has a UI that looks like it. All the UI elements are on the top, like Skullgirls, with nothing covering up people's feet, which I prefer. The UI is very clean, very easy to tell. Adding to the Street Fighter-ness of it, throws do a lot of damage, and supers do a lot of damage. But you have to kind of earn them. It's not easy to land the throw in the chaos of a match. And it's not easy to land the super unless you combo into it. But the supers do a ton of damage. Even the they're called skybound moves and super skybound moves.
Yep.
But even the lesser version does a good 35% for most characters. And there's that Arxis variety. You have your two Shoto-type characters. You have this bunny girl named Fairy who has a whip and can summon animal buddies. You have a fast dual-wielding ninja. And you have a little girl charge character. So even with the 5 characters in the demo, a lot of variety so far.
Okay.
I think it's good. I think it's a good game. I recommend it. I don't know what it's going to have in terms of story. If you're a person who wants a good fighting game story mode, I'm not sure if this is going to scratch the itch. And I really mean I'm not sure because I don't know what they're offering. So,
being an Arxis game, there'll be a story.
There'll be a story mode for sure. Will it be a NetherRealm quality story? Probably not, because NetherRealm's just got that shit down.
They do, and I don't know if I want to see Arxis try and duplicate what they're doing, because Arxis story mode has been fine on its own. I don't like that they went from English to Japanese a couple versions back, but...
Well, more accurately, they stopped offering the English voice option, the dub. And yeah, that's a little disappointing because they had it and now they don't. When we saw the Grand Blue Fantasy anime, did we see it subbed or dubbed?
Well, we watched 1 or 2 episodes subbed.
Okay.
It's now out dubbed, and I was actually going to bring it up as something to watch one day.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I have no idea if this game is going to have a dub. Given the Western fantasy meets Japanese-style Skies of Arcadia fantasy. And the fact that the original game apparently has a full English translation that is really well localized, you'd think there would be English language, but who knows. Yeah, when I read that, it's like it's not in Western app stores, but you can fully play it in English and it's a really good localization. I'm like, man, why? Because Grand Blue Fantasy is one of these few mobile gacha games I actually want to try, if only because its story mode is apparently entirely free.
I'm just going to look up here quickly.
You can apparently play it online on their website if you don't want to go through the hassle of getting a Japanese Google Play account. I was sent the link by Rowan and a few others.
Okay, well, the RPG's getting a dubbed cast. Oh, I guess it also is adding a character called La Diva, which is a transgender grappler.
Cool!
Yeah, I am not.
Maybe that sounded sarcastic. I want to clarify something. More transgender characters in video games, please. Abso-fucking-lutely. As long as they're not going to be quote-unquote cured. Atlas. Long story. It involves Catherine. I talked about it before on the podcast.
Oh, yes. Thank you for filling that in. Because I for something like, did Atlas do that stupid science anime we watched?
Steins Gate.
Steins Gate?
Oh, God. The less said about... I don't like where this conversation's going. Why did we record this again? Right, Dave's like, we need to talk about E3 some more.
And we did.
We did. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Two Fat Guys Talk. The Sword vs. Moonrod art is by the talented Red Caliburn. Find her on Instagram and DeviantArt. RedCaliburn. Music tracks used were Bit Bit Loop and Good Nightmare by Kevin MacLeod, found at freepd.com. Be sure to visit our site at animerave.xyz for more of this podcast, and for Carlos and Dave Anime Rave, the best anime review and reaction show on the internet. If you like what you heard and can afford it, help keep us going by becoming a patron via the Patreon link on our site. If you can't afford it, no worries. Just spread the word. As always, thank you for listening.